Forget white walls and cobalt blue. This is Mediterranean design pulled into shadow. The same warmth, the same materials, none of the brightness. 10 rooms, 1 modern fusion. Let's go inside. Classic Mediterranean design announces itself immediately in bright white plaster and sun-drenched tile. This apartment announces itself differently. A deep charcoal lime wash wall meets a terracotta floor tile that keeps the material honesty of the tradition while trading its brightness for depth. A single brass wall sconce provides the only light source, its warm glow catching the texture of the lime wash rather than flattening it the way even daylight would. One woven basket sits at the base of the wall, the only object present, chosen because its natural fiber texture bridges the gap between the earthy terracotta below and the darker plaster above. Nothing about this entryway asks to be mistaken for a coastal villa. It asks to be recognized as something related but distinct, Mediterranean material language, spoken in a different register entirely. The living room carries the most weight in this reinterpretation because it's the room most people picture first when they hear Mediterranean. Usually bright, usually open, usually built around abundant natural light. This version keeps the architectural bones of that tradition, an arched doorway, exposed with ceiling beams, while shifting the entire palette into shadow. Deep burgundy and rust-toned linen upholstery sits against walls color-drenched in a warm near-black, ceiling included, removing the visual interruption a lighter trim line would create. A low, rounded sofa in the Mediterranean tradition of organic, curved silhouettes anchors the room, while brass and dark wood accents catch what light exists rather than reflecting it broadly the way white plaster would. The arch and the beams keep this room legible as Mediterranean even in near darkness. Everything else, the palette, the depth, the way shadow pools in the corners rather than being chased out by daylight, is the modern fusion this entire apartment is built around. A Mediterranean dining table is traditionally a gathering point built for long, unhurried meals, and that function survives here completely intact even as the palette shifts. A solid dark wood table with a substantial, slightly irregular shape sits beneath a wrought iron pendant light, its silhouette one of the few elements borrowed directly and unaltered from the classic tradition. The chairs are rush-seated, pale in contrast to the darker table, a deliberate material break that keeps the grouping from collapsing into a single undifferentiated mass of darkness. Terracotta pottery sits on an adjacent shelf, unstyled and slightly irregular, echoing the handmade quality Mediterranean ceramics have always carried. Wrought iron, dark wood, terracotta, warm low light. Every material here has Mediterranean lineage. None of them are arranged the way a coastal dining room would arrange them. And that difference is entirely the point. Mediterranean kitchens are traditionally defined by tile, hand-painted, often blue and white, covering backsplashes and sometimes entire walls. This kitchen keeps the instinct toward decorative tile while shifting its palette entirely. A deep green and rust zealot style, tile running the length of the backsplash, catching light unevenly the way handmade tile always has. Dark wood cabinetry, flat-fronted and unornamented, sits below the tile, allowing the backsplash to remain the room's single loudest material decision. Brass fixtures repeat the metal already established in the living and dining rooms, keeping the apartment's material vocabulary consistent even as each room applies it slightly differently. The tile is doing the same emotional work classic Mediterranean blue and white tile has always done. Texture, handmade irregularity, a sense of craft, just translated into a palette built for shadow rather than sunlight. A home office has no real precedent in Mediterranean architectural tradition, which makes this room, like it has in previous style breakdowns on this channel, the clearest test of how far a fusion aesthetic can actually stretch before it stops making sense. A dark wood writing desk sits against a deep terracotta plastered wall, its turned legs the one classical reference point in an otherwise restrained, functional space. A single brass task lamp provides focused light, warmer and more concentrated than the ambient glow found elsewhere in the apartment, appropriate for a room whose job is closer attention rather than lingering. This room proves the fusion holds even under pressure from a genuinely modern function. The materials carry the Mediterranean identity, and the restraint carries the modern half, without either one needing to compromise the other. If any room in this apartment can carry visual density without losing coherence, it's this one. A low, deep armchair upholstered in a rust-toned boucle sits beneath a single arched window, the kind of architectural detail that appears throughout Mediterranean building tradition regardless of what palette surrounds it. A small side table in dark wood holds a stack of books and a single brass candlestick, objects chosen for their material honesty rather than their styling potential. The window itself, small and deeply set into the wall, admits only a narrow shaft of light, and that limited light becomes the room's most valuable resource rather than something to maximize at all costs. This corner demonstrates something the entire apartment has been quietly arguing: that Mediterranean atmosphere was never actually about brightness. It was always about texture, material, and a particular quality of light, however much of it there happens to be. The bedroom settles into the calmest version of this fusion, private enough that neither the Mediterranean references nor the darker palette need to perform for anyone. A dark wood bed frame with a subtly arched headboard sits against a deep charcoal lime-washed wall, the arch quietly echoing the doorway found in the living room without repeating it exactly. Bedding in warm terracotta and rust tones replaces the crisp white linens a coastal bedroom would typically favor, while a single brass wall sconce mounted above the nightstand provides the room's only light, positioned specifically to avoid the flat, clinical quality an overhead fixture would introduce. This is the room where the fusion feels most fully resolved, because rest doesn't require the brightness that Mediterranean tradition usually assumes. It only requires warmth, and warmth here comes entirely from material and light temperature rather than daylight. Mediterranean bathrooms lean heavily on tile and stone, and this room keeps both while trading their traditional lightness for depth. A deep green zealage tile covers the shower surround, its handmade irregularity catching brass fixture light unevenly across its surface, while a honed dark stone vanity top continues the material story established in the kitchen. Brass fixtures stay consistent with the rest of the apartment, and a single woven basket holds towels, echoing the natural fiber texture introduced back in the entryway. Nothing about this room performs cleanliness through brightness the way a white-tiled bathroom typically would. It performs it through material honesty and consistency instead. The bathroom is often the hardest room to translate into any reinterpreted style, and this one succeeds by committing to one dominant material story rather than trying to reference too many Mediterranean details at once. Outdoor space has always been essential to Mediterranean living, and this terrace keeps that priority completely intact even as it adopts the apartment's darker material language. Dark wrought iron furniture, a direct architectural reference to Mediterranean tradition, sits atop terracotta pavers, while potted olive and fig trees in unglazed clay pots provide the greenery classic Mediterranean courtyards have always relied on. Unlike the interior rooms, this space allows more daylight than anywhere else in the apartment, and that daylight interacts differently with the dark furniture and deep-toned textiles than it would with a brighter Mediterranean palette, creating rich shadow and contrast rather than the flat brightness a whitewashed terrace would produce. This is where the apartment's entire argument becomes most visible in daylight. The same devotion to outdoor living, the same materials, the same plants, just rendered in a register built for depth rather than glare. No white walls, no cobalt blue, no coastal brightness anywhere in sight. The materials stayed Mediterranean. The palette went somewhere the tradition never quite went on its own, and it still, somehow, feels